some football. All right, I'm throwing footballs over here. Don't blame me if it ends up in your coffee cup, okay? Who wants one? Woo! If you don't ask, you don't get. Who's gonna get it? I gotta save some for the other side. Here we go in the middle. As you can see, I was not the quarterback. So fight for it, fight for it. All right, I'm gonna go long. I'm gonna try to get in the corner over there. I'm close coming up front. Woo, these people are awake. Y'all had some coffee this morning. Up front, how many more? Okay, come on, left side. Oh, going back center. There you go, mama. Woo, this table's fired up. Okay, what's more in the middle? Here we go. Look, she's standing out of her seat, ready. Nice catch. Somebody sign her up. One more. One mama going long. I think that's got it. Woo! Look at that good energy this morning. I don't know what y'all had for breakfast. I wish my helmet had held more, but that's all I got today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time. Woo! It was August 19th, 2001, Sunday afternoon in Jacksonville, Florida at 2 p.m. Y'all, it was hotter than a jalapeno's armpit. But I can see the field from my car, and I can tell there's about 80 women there that day. They are every size, shape, color, and flavor, and they've already started warming up. They're stretching, they're sprinting, and definitely sweating. And in my car, I can only think of one thing. There ain't no way I'm getting out of this air conditioning. But I'm here, so I go. And as I walk onto the field, I notice something strange. These 80 women are not talking to each other. I'm sorry, is the mic on? 80 women are not talking to each other. And then it's when I realize there's a competitive spirit in the air. These women they're strutting, they're glaring, they're sizing each other up. Because these women are competing to be one of the first ever women's professional football players for Jacksonville, Florida, the Jacksonville Dixie Blues. And I'm here today because I always wanted to play football as a little girl. You see, we grew up in the South, and my mother would have college football on the TV on Saturday afternoons, and she'd be ironing clothes, and she'd say, "That looks like so much fun. I want to put on the shoulder pads and the helmet and be in that pile of people and hit people." And what she didn't realize is that her words were influencing me. And so my dream became her dream. I now wanted to be a football player too, but there's only one problem. There were no football teams for little girls. So I did the next best thing. What do you think? We didn't have soccer back then. I became a cheerleader. That was as close to that football field as I could get. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? But I kept that dream alive with me, and I carried it into my adulthood. In fact, my husband and I, we would sit there at the Jacksonville Jaguars games, and I would echo those same words of my mother. I'd look out on the field, and I'd say, "That looks like so much fun. I want to put on the shoulder pads and the helmet and hit people." And like any good, adoring, loving husband, he would just say, "Watch the game." But he heard me, and he knew that I kept that dream alive. So it was that Sunday afternoon. I was sitting in the den, and I was putting together a scrapbook, and of course we had NFL. Wait a second, are there any millennials in the room? Okay, all right, representing, do y'all know what a scrapbook is? We used to, back in the day, we'd have to take our film out of the camera and we'd go down to Walgreens and we'd leave it there for a week and it would come back. And then technology happened and we could get it in 1 hour. Double copies free. It was awesome. But anyway, so I'm putting together this scrapbook and we've got NFL, of course, on the TV in the background, and my husband's reading the Sunday paper. When all of a sudden he says, Jan, did you know that a women's football team is coming to Jacksonville, Florida? And I pop up and I say, you're kidding me. And he says, no. I mean, like with the shoulder pads and tackling? Yeah. Like with the helmet and hitting? Yeah. Just like the NFL? Yeah. Woo! I can't believe it. And so I go into this kind of fantasy dream-like state, and I see myself getting ready for the tryouts. I see myself pumping iron to get strong. I gotta run the 40-yard dash. Oh, and I've gotta learn all the rules. And then I think about game day. Oh my goodness, game day. I can see myself coming through the tunnel. There's the smoke and the lights. I've got that black stuff under my eyes. And as I come out of this fantasy land, I think, I've got to do this. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. I have to try out. So I say, honey, I've got to do this. When are the tryouts? Soon. Real soon. Well, like how soon? Like next year, next month, next week, today. What? Today, in 2 hours. And just like that, my dream went away. It was fine. I mean, think about it. I really was not prepared to try out for football anyway. But my husband encouraged me to go, and he just wouldn't stop. He says, you've got to do this. It's your dream come true. And I gave him 100 reasons why this was a terrible, terrible idea. First off, I'm 33 years old at the time. I don't know how to catch a football. As you saw before, I don't know how to throw a football. I don't know all the rules. And let's just face it, the most recent exercise I had been doing was Zumba and a little jazzercise. But he encouraged me to go. And he asked me this powerful question. He said, Jan, what is the worst thing that can happen if you go to the tryouts? I think, well, I don't make the team. And then he asked me this question. What is the worst thing that can happen if you don't go to the tryouts? And that's when he knew that I would regret it for the rest of my life. And I recalled these words of my mother. Once an opportunity is gone, it's gone forever. Once that opportunity has passed, it's gone forever. So even right now, as I step outside the story, you might be thinking of an opportunity that passed you by. Or maybe it's the people that you serve that were too afraid to apply for that position, or too scared to even show up for the interview. Maybe it was a time that you were passed over for a position, or you just knew you were right for that job or that role, and you got passed by. We've all had opportunities that we missed in our lives. So I hope that by sharing my story, I'm going to give you some tools to increase your game and take your game to the next level, but also those of the people that you serve. So I decide to go. So I go, I grab my old softball cleats and my gym clothes, and my husband sends me out the door with an Igloo cooler full of a case of water and a case of Gatorade. I don't know how much the man thinks I can drink in 2 hours. But I go, and I'm driving to the tryouts, and I admit it, I'm thinking, you know, I promised my husband that I would go to the tryouts. Never told him I'd get out of the car. But I'm there, so I go. What do I have to lose except my dignity? So I walk up, and you should see these women. There's one gal, she is 6'2". I affectionately call her Sasquatch. There's one woman, she is just ripped to shreds. She must be some sort of a bodybuilder. And then one gal is running, she's sprinting so fast, she must be an Olympic sprinter. And all I can think at that moment is, I sure could use a six-pack right about now. But I stay, and then the tryouts begin. So the first thing we do is we do sit-ups. Y'all, I hate sit-ups. I have not done a real sit-up since 7th grade field day. So these are not the little fake little crunches we do in jazzercise. And then we do the push-ups, the real ones, not the ones on your knees. And I'm exhausted. We do agility drills, jumping drills, crawling drills. We do the thing where you go out and you cut and you catch the ball, or you try to. Of course, I miss it. So pretty much through these tryouts, I'm failing at everything. I'm performing at the bottom. But then comes the 40-yard dash. And I think, all right, this is my chance. The 40-yard dash, I've got to perform on this one. So I'm on the sidelines, I'm getting pumped up, my adrenaline's running strong. I'm watching the other athletes go, and I think this is my chance. So it's my turn. And I get up to the starting line, the whistle blows, and I explode. My legs are going faster than they've ever gone before. In fact, I almost even lose my balance. But I crossed that finish line, and I think I crushed it. I have done awesome. I know my performance was spectacular. And that's when I heard these words from the sidelines. You are the weakest link. Why do you even try? Is that the best you can do? Those words crushed me. They defeated me. They humiliated me. I mean, here I was, along with these other women, just chasing my childhood dream just like they were. I mean, weren't women supposed to encourage each other? To break the ceiling and go for an opportunity that our grandmothers and mothers never had? But yet they cut me down and they hurt me in that moment. And in that pain, it took me back to some childhood memories. You see, I grew up in an athletic family. So my dad was an all-star. My mother was a certified tennis pro. My older sister was just spectacular all-star in almost every sport. And my younger sister was an award-winning gymnast. And me, I was the cheerleader. So I tried out for sports just because that's kind of what was expected. And I never really got to play. I mean, I got on the church league softball team, and they put me out in right field where no one ever hits the ball. So I just always felt on the sidelines, left out and excluded. Perhaps some of you have been in that place as well, where you felt left out, you felt excluded. Certainly, the people that you serve are feeling left out. They're feeling like they are on the sidelines of life. They're excluded. They're feeling defeated, and yeah, probably a little humiliated. So at that moment, on those sidelines, I went back to that same kid I was feeling left out almost 2 decades ago. But as I stood there in my pain, another memory came back to me. And I can remember my mom, she's the preacher's wife, and she was leading a youth group in a small church in a little damp basement in South Georgia, and she's giving the rules. If it was hot potato or something, she's got all the kids in a circle, and she explains the rules, and they start to play. Well, then she notices Cindy, and Cindy's over in the corner. Now, Cindy was kind of that awkward one. She was that kid that never quite fit in. And she notices that Cindy's not playing. So she stops the game. She walks over to Cindy. She puts her arms around her, and she leads her to the circle. And she says, "Now Cindy's here. We can all play." And the game began. So that day at those Jacksonville Dixie Blues tryouts, I made a choice. And I thought, well, what do I have? What can I contribute? How can I add value? How can I be a part of the team? And then I remembered that igloo cooler full of water and Gatorade. So I went and I got a bottle of water. I went up to a woman on the sidelines. I gave it to her. I introduced myself. I learned her name. I shook her hand. And then I got another bottle and I went to the next woman and I learned her name and introduced myself to her. and so on until I had given out all the water and the Gatorade in my cooler. And because now I knew their names, I could start cheering them on. So I started applauding for them and yelling for them and saying, nice hands, Jackie, nice hands. Good run, Shelley, good run. But I also encouraged not only the ones who were doing well, but I also encouraged those that were struggling. So you know what, Shireen? Shake it off, Shireen. That's all right. You're just getting warmed up. You've got the next one. You've got this. It's okay, Susan. Shake it off. That just didn't have your name on it, girl. The next one's got your name on it. You got it. So I began encouraging these women in a place where no one was saying those words. And we began playing better as a result of it. The strangest thing happened that day at the Jacksonville Dixie Blues tryouts, something I never expected. Behavior is contagious. And the women copied me. So one by one, they began cheering for each other. They began high-fiving and applauding. An hour earlier, if a woman fell, no one would help her up. But now you hear things like, hey, Susan, come on back. You can take my place. Take my place. Try again. It's fine. So in 1 hour, I had turned competitors into teammates. Now, I wasn't their boss. I wasn't their coach or even someone they knew. But when I stepped on that field that day, I just used what I had. An igloo cooler full of water and some words of encouragement. And that team was transformed. So I believe that each one of us can do that. We can use what we have when we step onto that field and make a difference. I believe that you can encourage the people that you serve that they have something that has value and that they can step on that field and they can use what they have to make a difference as well. And the crazy thing is the coach noticed. He noticed and he said, you know what, Jan, I think we could use someone like you on our team. Because he recognized that what I had was just as valuable as Sasquatch's size, Brantley's reflexes, and Kim's speed, that the words of encouragement and the gestures that I made were just as important to that team as that athletic ability. So I guess in some ways, that cheerleading paid off after all, because that day, I became a football player. And all I did was use what I have and step on the field and just use what I had in the moment. And quite frankly, being a player for the Jacksonville Dixie Blues, I wasn't on the field that much. I was on special teams. And I didn't score any outrageous plays or earth-shattering points. But I was on the sidelines cheering for my team, and that made the difference. We actually won the AFC Championship that year and went on to the women's first ever World Bowl in San Diego. So we can use what we have when we get onto the field, and I believe that each one of us can do that. So if one woman can change competitors into teammates in 1 hour, what could we all do? What could you do? You see, I didn't realize it, but that day, I created cheer leadership. And cheer leadership is the intentional lifting up and encouragement of other people, both when they're doing well and when they're struggling, to increase morale, productivity, and therefore profitability. So, are you ready to be a cheerleader? No, okay, let's just stop now then. Well, thank you, good night. Are you ready to be a cheerleader? All right, there we go. Much better. So let's get practical. Now that you've heard the story and you've heard the concepts, I want to share with you 3 keys that you can implement in your world, in your personal life, in your own professional life, and in the lives of those that you serve. So you've got some handouts on the table. This is the time to grab those and bring those front and center. Grab your pen. And I'm going to give you 3 keys. So there will be 3 keys, there will be many ideas. What I'm going to ask you to look for is that one that you need to hear today. What is the one that you will take away and you will implement? Okay, it's Friday, I'll give you the weekend. But what will you implement Monday? Monday morning, when you show back up at the office, what is that one takeaway that you will take with you and begin to take action? You're going to spend about an hour with me and we're going to have more fun. And you've been inspired, but what will you do about it? So there's also a little feedback form. It looks kind of about index sized on the table. Just want you to give me that feedback and share with me that one biggest takeaway, that thing that you will take action on. And oh, by the way, I love prizes too. So you'll drop those in a box when we're done, and then we'll draw for a prize, and I'll actually send the lucky winners a very valuable prize. So just keep an eye out, look for that one thing that you need to hear today that will help you in both your personal and your professional life. So here's the first key. Seize the opportunity. Seize the opportunity. So what's your football field? What is that football field for you? What's that opportunity that's maybe you've thought about it, it's out there, but you've just been kind of hanging out on the sidelines? Maybe it's a new job role. And I'm not telling anybody to go quit their jobs, please. All the bosses just got mad at me right there. Hang tight, I'm not saying that. But maybe it's something for you personal. Maybe you've been wanting to write a book or run a marathon or just take a stab at creating a new program. I loved it last night when we learned about Miss Pat taking a room. I think she just used a room and a phone, and she was able to create a job fair and the numbers of people that impacted. So just maybe there's that opportunity for you that's been your football field. Because once that opportunity's gone, it's gone forever. So if we don't take that chance to speak up when we know we need to speak up and just say, hey, you know what, I think I've got a better idea. Or if we think, you know what, this is crazy to recommend this candidate for this role, but something's just telling me they can do it. But what if they fail? What if it doesn't work out? Sometimes we need to seize that opportunity and we need to speak up in that moment and listen to our gut and do what it's telling us to do. Having the guts to walk across a room has helped me so many times in my own career. Just facing that fear and saying, you know what, if I don't do it now, it's now or never. And even though I may be shaking in my boots, I still pick up the phone and make the phone call. Or I walk across the room and ask for a conversation or a meeting. Unless we step onto the field, we're not going to have that progress. You've heard this before. You never get the job you never apply for, 100% of the time. So what is that for you? Now, I think in many cases you do this daily. You're encouraging people they're all struggling. We just don't know how bad, but you're encouraging them to step onto the field. But I want to ask you for a minute, what is that thing for you? So take just a moment. What is that opportunity, kind of your football field that's out in front of you right now? Could be professional, could be personal. But take a moment and write that down. Beside number 1, seize the opportunity. What's that football field for you? So take just a moment and write that down. So it looks like some of you, that was very quick. You knew what it was. Some of you are still writing. So I want to ask you the next question, which is probably a little harder. So you know what that football field is. You know what that opportunity is. Here's part B. What's holding you back? What's holding you back? What is that fear that thing that keeps you from setting the appointment with the boss to talk about a new program, or applying for that new role, or starting to write that book, or putting your crafts on Pinterest. I don't know what it is for you, but what's holding you back? So that's part B. So right just a moment. Usually it's the first thing that pops in your mind. What is that thing that's holding you back from taking action on stepping onto that particular football field of your life? Okay, that's usually a fairly easy one because we know what's holding us back. It's some sort of a fear. But I want to challenge you right now just to scratch that out, whatever it was, whatever reason you gave that you haven't moved forward, that you haven't taken some sort of action, and just write me. Put me beside it, because who's holding you back? Me, yes. Yes. We all know that the only limitations that we have are those that we put on ourselves. Alan's story last night, if you read his bio, in addition to hearing, he had always wanted to be a personal trainer. And even after he had his stroke, became a paraplegic, do you think that stopped him? I was ashamed last night at myself for how many times I can go to the gym and I just say, I don't feel like it. When I see the dedication of someone who is struggling, we can't let fear and all that head trash keep us from doing what we're supposed to do. You can't let the clients that you serve listen to that negative talk. We have to be willing to scratch that out and saying, I'm the only one that's holding me back. So just want to ask you, if you're comfortable, we've got a couple of microphones in the office. I'm not in the office yet, it's Friday, goodness gracious. In the room, would anyone be willing to share what their football field is, their dream, their thing that they haven't taken action on, that you'd like to share right now with the group? And here's your time, and you're feeling fear, but you're like, I really do need to raise my hand. And back there, she's like, I am not making eye contact with her. I am not making eye contact with that lady. All right, I can't see all that.
Buying a house.
Thank you. All right, John, go ahead.
Buying a house.
Buy a house, okay. And what's holding you back?
That appraiser. I'm not the appraiser, so I can't say me on that one, but the appraiser.
Did you say, I'm not that crazy?
No, the appraiser. The appraiser.
The appraiser, okay,
Yeah.
The appraiser. I'm not that crazy. There's an echo coming this way, okay. Thank you. So buy a home, the appraiser's holding you back. Okay, so that's not a little bit, but we can't get stuck there, right? You can't make sure that it doesn't become the blame game and go, we see you at conference 10 years, well, I'd have bought that house, but the appraiser never approved it, and it's 10 years later. So don't get stuck, but that's huge. Good luck with that one. All right, who's got another one? Jonathan will call you out if you don't volunteer. All right, lovely lady with red on over there.
Writing books and manuals.
Writing books and manuals, what topic?
Some of them self-help, some of them life experience to move others on to their goals.
Things from your own life experience to move them on to the goal. Everybody ready to buy her book? All right, you just got 1,000 sold, sister. We just need to write it. Fantastic. So what's holding you back?
Procrastination, which is a thief of time.
Procrastination, which is a thief of time. So true. But you know what? We live in a world where I believe there's one thing that's still free, and it's the library. We've got a library, and goodness gracious, we now have the internet. We've got all sorts of resources and courses that can help you get there. And I'll take this moment to share, I just finished publishing my first book. And thank you. And it was a huge thing on my to-do list. But if someone finally shared with me, she said, Jan, why don't you write a tips book? Just at least write the tips. You know, people want to read the how-to and the why-to, but sometimes they just want to know what to do. And I thought I could do that. So it made this big, giant elephant. You know, how do we eat the elephant? One bite at a time. It became smaller for me, so I put it in bite-sized chunks, and I was able to accomplish it. Because I want to challenge you. What's your name?
Denise.
Denise. I don't even know what your story is, but I guarantee you there's people out there that want and need to hear it. So no pressure. But every day you're not sharing your story is one more person who needs to hear it, who wants to be inspired, and you're holding them back. Don't feel guilty at all. But, but truly, your story needs to be heard. I believe that. And there's people waiting there to be inspired. So I hope that helps you, kick the procrastination bug to the curb, and that maybe this time next year we'll be able to hear your story and buy your book. Give them both a round of applause. That's awesome. All right, one more from this side of the room. Yes, all the way from the front and center table. I thought they can't even see the screens or me. They said they were going to play cards during the whole keynote, but I don't know if they ever dealt them. She said so they can go to the bathroom without walking in front of the governor. They drank a lot of coffee this morning, apparently.
Thank you.
All right, what's your football
Yes,
field?
ma'am. I've always had a big passion for people with disabilities, and I've always been in that field. And a lot of parents are really confused about how to navigate getting the services they need for their children with special needs. So I've always wanted to develop an app that makes the process of services for children with special needs and adults with special needs a lot easier for people.
Did y'all hear all that? Yeah. That's huge. That is huge. The world needs that. And it's not easy to build an app, but college students are doing it, and there's resources. Is anybody have been involved with building an app here in the room by chance? Anybody know someone who has? Okay, so it's not that far out of reach to find people who can put together something simple to put the resources together. You've got support in this room. They won't let me pass the hat right now, but I think you could find funding to put it together, because that's something truly that can help, so many people be able to find the resources that they need. So what's the thing that's holding you back right now?
Time.
Time, so not even money, but time. Okay. And again, we can set aside, when things are really important to us, we can set aside those little chunks of time to do the things that are really important to us. So thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. That's awesome. Thank you. So you all have your football field. You all have that dream, whether it's personal, professional, it's for the community, or maybe it's just purely selfish. But don't let the world be deprived of what it is that you have to share. And maybe your world is your family. Or maybe it's just your community, or maybe it's just your office. But don't let the world be deprived because you were too afraid to take that step and actually go to the tryouts, show up, and make a difference. I think, Lamonte's story last night, he does that every day. He doesn't ask for permission to tell a joke. He just jumps right in there and seizes the opportunity. He'll take that lady and push her around while she does the shopping. He doesn't need a committee or a memo for that. He just uses his gift of humor, and he seizes that opportunity. So it may be just in the way even that you answer the phone. We all get busy, and NCWorks, Lumberton, North Carolina chapter, how may we help you today? Sorry, did I just pick on Lumberton? I didn't mean to do that. This man just fell apart. He's like, oh no, that's me. Totally random city. But we get in that mode, and that other person's hurting on the other line. Remember, everyone we meet is struggling with something we just don't know how bad. So it's the little things we can take to just answer the phone. When you're going out to greet that candidate is, all right, number 42, Juan Mendez, follow me, let's go. Or do you greet them and you shake their hand and treat them with dignity and look in their eyes and use their name? You have the power in this room to lift someone up by pouring into their life and building their self-confidence in their job search. Or we can do the little things that plant seeds of doubt and diminish their self-confidence. You have more power than you know in the roles that you play and in the roles of the team that you work with. So seize that opportunity to make that difference each and every day in the lives of someone else. So that's the first thing. Seize the opportunity. What is your football field? The second thing, the second key to being a true cheerleader is to use what you have. Use what you have. So what's your bottle of water? What's your secret sauce? What is that thing that you do so well that no one else can own, that you can claim, that makes you different, that maybe you're not even connecting your personal life and your personal skills and gifts with your professional life? If you love gardening, maybe you begin to give little potted plants with seeds in them to people who are struggling and on a journey, and you encourage them to water that plant just like they will water their career life, and they're adding to their job skills to prepare them for a new career. Maybe that's a way you bring your personal joy, your gift, into the workplace to encourage another person. So what's your bottle of water? What do you do differently? For me, in that moment, it happened to be water and Gatorade. It also happened to be remembering names. I was able to remember these people's names, which made them feel special. And then I just applauded for them, and I encouraged them when they were struggling. A very simple thing, but something that I used in the moment to make them feel important. Jose Andres is a chef. He is from Spain, and he came to America to live his dream of opening a restaurant. And he ended up opening several restaurants. When Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico so hard, he said he had to do something. He just felt compelled. He got on a plane, flew to San Juan, Puerto Rico, had no idea where he was going to stay, didn't know a single soul, didn't even really know what he was going to do when he got there. He just knew he needed to help. So when he showed up, he just met some people, and he says, I just know how to cook. Can you take me to a kitchen? And they said, well, yeah, there's plenty of kitchens. They're all closed. So they went and they found a kitchen. And he said, can you find me some food? And they said, yeah, there's food in empty hotels. It's locked up in the freezers. So they got some food. He says, do you know some cooks? Any people that can cook or grill or stir a pot of rice? Bring me some cooks. And they went and they found cooks in the community. And they started feeding people, meeting a basic human need. And you know what? That behavior was contagious. And so now other sites, sometimes it was churches, would open up their kitchens, and people would bring food, and people would come to cook. And they began giving people a hot meal in the middle of just a tough, depressing time. So it met a basic need, but it also met social need. People could come together, could encourage each other, and communicate and collaborate and commiserate during this tough time. And Jose did not file for funding. He didn't form a task force committee. He's not a disaster relief expert. He's just a guy from Spain who happens to know how to cook. And he showed up, he seized the opportunity, he used what he had, his bottle of water, in that moment. And in fact, he fed, and I want to make sure I give you the correct numbers, he fed over 3 million people in about 6 months. That was more than the Salvation Army and the Red Cross put together. In fact, sometimes the Salvation Army and the Red Cross would come to him for food because he wasn't tied up with all the red tape like they were. So he took action in that moment. He was all in with just trying to make a difference. So what is that for you? What's your secret sauce? What is that gift that you have? I hope it's one that you use, but maybe it's one that you've never really thought about using. Because we need to identify that, and we need to be encouraging the people that we serve. They have a gift. That young kid, that teen that just doesn't know what they want to be when they grow up, we got to find out, are they good with math? Are they great with computers? Are they good with their hands? An amazing whiz mechanic or IT is in their future. What is their good gift that we can take their bottle of water and begin to plant that and grow? So take just a moment and write down, what is your gift? What is your secret sauce, your bottle of water that you can use in your world to make it a better place? Some tables have a gift of humor over there. I don't know what their gift is, but I'm not going to ask y'all to share it with the crowd, for sure. But we all need to know what that gift is and how we can tie it together, how we can use it in our professional life, something that's personally important to us. Same thing with the people that we serve. We have to tap into their secret sauce, their bottle of water, and what's special to them. Some of you have acknowledged your gift and you use that in various opportunities, but some of you have not. And it's time to take action, to step onto that field, use what you have in that moment to make a difference. In this case, it wasn't exactly a bottle of water, but it was actually a case of beer. Kwame Anderson and his coworker Jason worked for a beer delivery company, and they were driving in St. Paul, Minnesota. They were driving to make a beer delivery at a local drive-through beverage shop when they noticed a gentleman standing on the ledge of the Earl Street Bridge. They were kind of shocked because that's not a safe place to stand. They really didn't know what was happening, but they stopped to investigate. So they seized that opportunity. They could have easily driven by and said, well, I don't know what's going on, but it's none of my business, and kept going. Turns out the man was suicidal. And so they stopped, and Kwame, he says, you know what, I had no idea. I'm a comedian and a beer truck driver. I'm not equipped for this. So he says he channeled Denzel Washington in that moment, in that, what's the name of that movie? Something Today? No, I don't think that's it. I thought Inside Man. Inside Man? Anyway, the guy was a negotiator, so he channels Denzel Washington as the negotiator. Now I've got y'all going off on movie references, but so he channels that. He just starts talking to the guy, and he tries to find some common ground. Finds out the guy's from Chicago. He says, well, I'm from Chicago, too. I grew up in the hood. That guy grew up in the hood, so they're kind of bonding. They offered him some food. They offered him some water, anything just to get him to come down off the ledge. He said that wasn't enough. That wasn't going to talk him off the ledge. So finally, Kwame used what he had. Offered the guy a 12-pack of Coors Light. I see all my beer drinkers. Where were y'all at the bar last night? Everyone, I was like, this is workforce. They're all like, oh, we have a meeting tomorrow. We've got to get to bed. No drinking at the bar tonight. I guess I missed Wednesday night. But yeah, beer bonds, right? So he offers the guy, he says, you know what, man, let's just go somewhere. Let's drink a beer and let's talk about it. And the guy came down off the ledge. So talk about using what you have and being unequipped in the moment. But Kwame just stepped onto the field, and he just used what he had in the moment. You've heard the saying, you know, you might get hit by a beer truck tomorrow. Well, in this case, that beer truck saved this guy's life. So we need to encourage each other to use what we have, step onto the field, take what we have, and make a difference in the moment. So your third key is to be a cheerleader. Be a cheerleader. So we have to practice cheerleadership, and that's the intentional encouragement and lifting up of other people, both when they're doing great, but also when they're struggling, so that we increase morale, we increase productivity, we increase ultimately profitability, but we make a difference in that person's life by just a simple gesture or a kind word. And you have to act, you have to move, you have to do something. I love what Kamaya said last night in her thank you speech. She said, be the change that you want to see in the world. Be that change that you want to see in the world. So we have to do that. What is easy to do is easy not to do. So it's easy to say please and thank you, right? It's also easy to forget to say that. So looking someone in the eye, saying their name, letting them know that you believe that they can and will perform better can make a difference. Now, I want to make sure that I'm not getting confused with kind of the everyone gets a blue ribbon concept, or that we're talking about condoning a lack of effort. So this is not, good job, Joe. You showed up to work sober with your pants on this morning. Way to go. Not what I'm talking about. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about genuine encouragement, looking someone in the eye, letting them know that you believe that they can and will perform better, that they can and will improve in that skill, that they can and will get that job. So we have to take that moment, because if I can do it in an hour, I know that each one of us can make that difference. So when I played football, our coach knew that we were going to be very nervous that very first time we went on that field, the very first time we're in the game. And so every practice, what he would do to take away that anxiety and have us prepared in that moment, we would do the same formation. We'd run out in the same formation. We'd have our captains out in front, and we'd be in the line on the football field. We do the same amount of push-ups. We do the same amount of sit-ups. We do the same amount of jumping jacks. And he knew that if we had that routine to rely on, that would take away that fear in the moment. But with the jumping jacks, he did a little something different. And what he did was, the captains would yell off 1, 2, 3, and then we would yell 1 on the 4th jumping jack. Then the captains would yell 1, 2, 3, and we would yell 2. But the third one was a little different. They would yell 1, 2, 3, but on the 4th jumping jack, instead of just doing a 4th jumping jack and yelling 3, we would flex our muscles. We would give the meanest face we could give, and we would growl like a pack of hound dogs. So 1, 2, 3, and it would scare the other team to death because they weren't expecting it. It helped all that stress get out from us. We felt confident. We knew we had just caught the other team off guard, and it gave us something to rely on in the midst of that anxiety and in that fear. So I want to give you all a little gift today, and I want you to do those jumping jacks with me. So stand up where you are. All right. Make sure you're not going to knock somebody out next to you. I have seen some of the high heels you ladies have on, so it's perfectly fine to do a fake jumping jack, all right? So if you just want to bend your knees, that's okay. If you've got space, you can go full on, all right? This is your exercise for the day. So if you remember how we're going to do this, I'm going to say, and we're going to do them together. I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then you say 1 as you do your 4th jumping jack. Then I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then you'll say 2. And then I'll say 1, 2, get ready, and then I want y'all to flex them. We got the photographer up here. I want y'all to give the meanest growl. I want you to think about your ex-spouse, your attorney, whoever. Not your boss, not your boss, not your boss. But you let it out, and let's scare the furniture people are in town, in case y'all didn't know. Let's scare the furniture people, okay? Are y'all ready to do this? Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, get ready. Yeah! Way to go. So I have a question for you. NC Workforce, are you ready to be a cheerleader? NC Workforce Professionals, are you job ready? NC Workforce Professionals, are you all in? Woo! Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, bless you. Thank you.